welcome to Milk This is Milk Talking, and today we have this deck of Asajj TARKINTOWN. I know we don't have all the spoilers, but I created this deck and I think it's really good, and it looks like a lot of a counter of the piloting decks, of Vader decks and kind of stuff. So like I said before, I know we still have to see more spoilers, so this is an alpha deck, it's a version 0 that we still can work with it and improving the deck. So let's stop talking and go to this. So first things first, we have here the list, and as you can see here, we have a lot of grid cards. We have two pilotings like the Interceptor Ace that gives grid, and it is a piloting. We have Iron Version piloting that is good too, and we have a lot of space units. I think is like balanced, like with the units in space, units in the ground. But let's explain more about the deck. So of course we have the grids, that is the main mechanic of the Asajj, this Asajj. So we have here 4 units that have grid, and three of them is in the ground, 1 in the space. But we have this Interceptor's Ace, that is can be a unit that costs 3 for 2/3 grid, which is really bad. If you play this Interceptor Ace as a unit, you're probably desperate because you don't have anything else to do. But we want the piloting giving +2/+3 and the grid. This is insane in this next meta because we have a lot of units in space that have piloting, something like that. If you play this and you can use the Asajj's ability, now you give +1, so this is insane, right? And we have Thrifty Brother and First Legion Snow Trooper. I know these both don't have grids, but Thrifty Brother gains rate 1 for each damage on him, so you can use the Asajj's ability to attack for more. And First Legion can gain +2/+0 and gains Overwhelm if attacks a unit that have damage, so you can use the Asajj's ability to put 1 damage in the unit, then attack with First Legion Snow Trooper. So indirect damage, we know that the main thing about the next set is piloting and indirect damage, and we see a lot of this of Karabas, and this deck counters both. Why? Because we have grid. So if our opponent's player plays like indirect damage, we can just distribute this damage in our grid units and buff our units, right? So this can be really good. And of course we have the Asajj Ventress 2 that still have grid, and in this deck you play more Asajj in like deploying ground unit, not in the upgrade, the pilot. But sometimes you can do this, of course, but most of the times you want her like a 4/6 grid that is sometimes better than give +3 because it's a +4, right? You're doing more damage, and she has grid 2, and 4/6 sometimes is better than. You don't want to deploy Asajj as a pilot in a unit that don't have damage, and sometimes you only have devastating gunship or already have grid, so you don't need to deploy in gunship, right? You can just deploy as a new unit. And of course you have Interceptor Ace, so sometimes you can just divide the damage in your space units that don't have grid, because you can play Interceptor Ace and now they have a grid and they can do more damage, so this is awesome. And let's talk about TARKINTOWN now. TARKINTOWN now is insane because like Queen Levels, like Jungle TARKINTOWNs and that kind of stuff, they can defeat your units. I don't think Jungle can do it with the ISB agent, but it's not that often because only have 3 copes in the deck. Quillan and Cad Bane is more, you can do this more often because they can ping in with any cost 2 unit in your cost 2 unit, and then use TARKINTOWN. And Asajj is way easier because we have a lot of units. So if we start the game, let's keep 1 unit to the ground and 1 unit to the space. This can be good because if we don't have the initiative, because we can see the opponent where he goes. Like if he goes to space, okay, I can play space unit, then we can use this as ability, put 1 damage in my space unit, 1 damage in his space unit, and use the TARKINTOWN and defeat in the turn 1. Then if he play in the ground, we do the same thing but with a ground unit, and we can buff our grid unit and defeat the turn 1 unit. This is awesome, right? And of course, like I said before, the upgrade that gives grid, so sometimes you open with Inferno 4 or TIE Bomber, and you have the grid upgrade in your hand. This is really good because you know that in the next turn you have a big unit that your opponent can't deal. Even with ECL, sometimes he can't deal, so Yeah. So here, let's pretend that we're playing against Luke, and he played the Green Squadron. I play Inferno 4. I do my stuff. Then he don't took initiative. He play R2 because most of the decks now with piloting use R2 because it's a piloting for free that gives +1/+1. So he can put it here in the Green Squadron. Now what we can do? We can use Asajj, put 1 damage in our Inferno 4, 1 damage in Green Squadron, then use TARKINTOWN and defeat the Green Squadron. So in the next turn, what Luke can do, our Inferno 4 is a 2/2 now. It's really easy to defeat. He can use ECL, something like that. So he can use Blue Leader that have ambush. There's a 3/3 ambush that can defeat Inferno 4. He can use Red 3 with ECL. He can use Green Squadron. A lot of other space units that he can use and to defeat our Inferno 4. But if you do this with ECL or with just ambush, we can do this. We can play this TIE Dagger Vanguard and do 2 damage. So we can defeat it. Or we don't even need to do this. We can just play like another Inferno 4 or another unit in space and use Asajj's ability to put 1 damage in our unit and defeat the other one because they took 2 damage. But if somehow he played like 3/4 unit, we can use this TIE Dagger and defeat it because he only took 2 damage. Now he took 2 again. It's 4. He defeated it, right? So now he don't have a board. We have a unit. He don't have an ECL anymore, so he can't ambush. Maybe with Blue Leader or something like that. But we have the board advantage now, right? And like you see here, we just defeated. Or against Poe is more complicated because he have this black one that can defeat our Inferno 4 right away because he can attack and ping 1 damage because he's playing with Poe. So maybe in this situation, if like we started, we can play Inferno 4 against Poe. He probably go to space and Luke too, so we don't need to wait where he goes. So we can play Inferno 4 to initiative, then we can play like the upgrade that gives grids or something like that, or the item that gives a shield, right? But in this situation, can be good use the Asajj Adventures to defeat Black 1 in turn 1. But you need to be aware of Red 5. Red 5 is a card that I don't see a lot in Karabas. Just a couple of decks use it. There's some lists with Poe. I in my Poe I didn't use it because I don't know. I rather use the Sabine's Masterpiece with ECL. But the problem is if I use the Asajj Adventures here to use the ability, I can defeat Black 1 turn 1, but he can use ECL with Red 5, defeating or Inferno 4 without taking damage. So this is not good. So you need to be aware of this. So sometimes it's better you just to initiative and play Interceptor Ace. So if in the next turn he wants to deploy, use the Poe action and the black one, he can do this. Now black one is a 5/4, and our Inferno 4 is 4/6. So we can defeat, be alive, and then if he plays something else, we can just do something. I don't know. He can't play the red 5 if he did the action of Poe because he don't have resource for it. So if he plays something else with ECL that costs 2, we trade. So we're against an aggro deck and we trade. Anyone have a board now? This can be good, right? And we still have a TARKINTOWN because in the situation we didn't use the turn 1, right? So yeah, like I said here, the Interceptor, okay, this is really good. So let's talk about the removes of the deck. So we're playing red, so we have removes like Open Fire and then Raid. The Raid is really good because we have TARKINTOWN, we have the pings of a lot of things, of Asajj and stuff like that, so we can defeat units really easy. And of course we have Open Fire too. And now about removes that we have in units. So we have TIE Dagger Vanguard like I showed before. That is this 2/2. I know 2/2 is not that good, but this one played is really good in Asajj because you already did 1 damage in the turn 1 maybe. So it's really easy to defeat something with Asajj, okay? We have the Imperial Interceptor, of course, that deal 3 damage. You can defeat a red 3 or something like that. We can deal 3 damage in a Bright Hope, then use TARKINTOWN. We have the IG-2000 that is awesome in this deck because you have Overwhelm. It is a 3/4, so sometimes it can be good to like this Overwhelm to attack like tokens, to attack TIE Phantom, and we have this one play, deal 1 damage to each of up to 3 units. And this is not only in space, you can use in ground units too. So sometimes you open space, open it is in the ground, you can use this splash damage in the ground and use TARKINTOWN, use the TIE Dagger in the next turn, something like that. And of course, this is against Vader is insane. I will show later. And we have the devastating gunship that is awesome. That of course have the grid and is a 3/5 that if your opponent don't deal with it, you can take a lot of damage. He can take a lot of damage. But when played, you can remove something, and like I said before, you do a lot of damage. So your opponents always have units with low HP. So devastating gunship can defeat a lot of things. And we have, of course, Ruthless Raider. It's not. We know that Ruthless Raider can be as a removal. It's not sometimes not there for this. It's more that for 6-2 in the face. But well, we can do like I said before, the same thing as Devastating Gunship. We do a lot of damage in units due of Asajj ability, so we can defeat something with Ruthless Raider really easy. And we have Count Dooku. Sometimes it's not a card that you're going to use a lot, but sometimes can save you, because maybe you drawing just cards on space and your opponent is on the ground, so you can use like Count Dooku in 2 units and defeating 2 units, or maybe 3, because we can defeat our Ruthless Raider, do 4 damage and something, 2 damage of Ruthless Raider and something else, so you can do this. So now against the match against Vader. Vader creates a lot of tokens, so it's really easy to stop Vader with Asajj, because we have like IG 2000 that can defeat these 3 tokens, and like he can play Victor Lead in turn 2. What we can do, we can play if we have a space unit against Vader. If you don't have a space unit against Vader, Luke, Poe, Wedge, this kind of decks that you know that are going to full space, you need to mulligan if you don't have a space unit in the turn 1, and we only have 6 I think for the turn 1, so yeah, you need to be aware of this. But if you don't have in the turn 1 but you have turn 2, this is fine. This is not that good, but still good, okay? But okay, so we can use like if we play Inferno 4 in turn 1, we probably already defeat something in turn 1 maybe, or not, because he can play that 1/1. This one I think I showed here. Yeah, he can play this one, so we can play Inferno 4, then use Asajj Inventories and defeat Kijimi. We always defeat Kijimi, not the TIE Fighter, because it's the Kijimi, because it's the not token unit that triggers the Vader's ability, okay? So we can play Inferno 4 in turn 1, defeat Kijimi with Asajj Inventor's ability, or we can like, he played Victor Leader, we can use Asajj, deal 1 damage, then use Tarkintown and defeat Victor Leader in turn 2 or something like that, right? Okay, and like I said before, always defeat the non-token units. Now about the deploy, but let's talk more about the Vader. So if you stop the space of Vader, it's going to be really easy to win him. So always keep Fang Fighter in your hand. Disable Fang Fighter. That is the 3/2, the cost 3 that you can play in space, and you discard upgraded is attached in your opponent's units. So if he just deploy Vader in a unit, you can just, okay, I will play 3, now you don't have Vader anymore, you just lose your deploy. And if you're playing red, I think you should play with 3 Fang Fighter in the next set. I don't know why you don't do this. So deploy. Most of the time you're going to deploy as a ground unit, like I said before, and we have some options. And why that? Because we already have good pilotings that we probably have in our space units, so we don't have space for our Asajj, right? Because we can only have one pilot in your unit. So sometimes you have 2 units with piloting. Okay, Asajj, you don't have space in this chip, so you need to be in the ground. But we have one thing here that I'm seeing that not everyone thought about it yet, and I think this card is insane. That is this one. This Frontier ATRT is a 3/5 ambush if you have a vehicle, and this meta have a lot of vehicle. This card is aspectless, so you can play in every deck if you want, if you have vehicle, of course, because needs the ambush. And why this card is so good in inventories? Because this card is a vehicle, so yeah, you can deploy in this vehicle, and most of the decks now is trying to build in space unit in the space, so the Sentinels kind of stuff. So sometimes you in the turn 4 and turn 3 you can play this card, but in turn 4 is good because you can play, defeat something, be alive, but take damage. So like let's suppose that you defeat something that it is like 4-3. So now this card is a 3-1, right? And let's see. Okay, your opponent thinks, okay, this is just a 3-1. I can't handle this because I need this to handle the space that is really aggressive right now. So in the next turn, you can deploy Asajj Ventress as an upgrade pilot in the frontier ATRT. So now this is not a 3-1 anymore. It is he took 4 damage, like I said before, right? So 3, 6, 10. It is a 10-5, right? Because 3 for his attack already, plus 3 of the upgrade, but he took 4 damage, but now have crit, so it's a it's a 10-5. 10-5, yeah, is right. 10-5 in the ground. That maybe your opponent wasn't expecting this, and this is insane, right? This is it. This card is awesome, and I think the players get to know more about this card. This card in the next set looks really, really good. So now let's talk about the Snow Trooper. Like I said before, we can trigger the Asajj Ventress ability, put 1 damage in the other unit, then we can attack with +2 and overwhelm and stuff like that, and this is awesome, right? And let's talk about now the Sentinels, because Black Sun is really easy to defeat because we have a lot of things, like we can just use the Asajj Ventress ability now and again the next turn, or we can just, if I want to attack now, I can use TARKINTOWN to defeat, or I can just dead and raid or something like that, right? But sometimes we have more Sentinels, bigger Sentinels like Bright Hope. What we can do here? We have a lot of things that we can do here. We have let's pretend we have Inferno 4 in space. We can use Asajj Ventress ability, so now Bright Hope will have 5 life. Then we can play Tie Dagger. Now we only have 3 life. Then we can use TARKINTOWN and defeat Bright Hope. Or we can like play Inferno 4. We already have Inferno 4. We can do the Asajj Ventress damage. So we put 1 damage in Inferno 4, 1 damage in Bright Hope. We can play Item Version that give +3/+3 and shield. So we can defeat Bright Hope, not take damage, just break the shield and defeat Bright Hope. Your opponent maybe do this in the turn 3. Now, so he just did this actually for enough. It's not for enough because we do stealth to pass through it. But yeah, now he doesn't have a unit. We have a 5/5 unit because take damage of Asajj, right? And this is it. Or we have like the 3/2, the cost 4 that enters and deal 3 damage in a space unit. Then you can use TARKINTOWN or something like that, right? Okay, so this is it, guys. I think this is everything that I can explain about this deck, and probably I forgot something, but you can see in this gameplay. So it's posted right now. I posted the 2 videos at the same time, so you can see there, and you have the link, I think, here in the card or here in the description. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and say what you think about this Asajj. I think that she can be really good in the next meta. See it here in the comment, and see you in the next video.